Good morning, grandkids. Today on Granny's bookshelf, I'm not using the webcam today because I really don't feel like it. And so we're going to use the GrannyShirl's that I made for this series way back. We are going to start the Beggar King series, which is the books Beggar, Thief, Warrior, King. And I'll read each book for each episode. So we'll have 4 episodes of this. So let's get right to it. The first book is Beggar. Hang on. Come on, books. Yes. Read. Oh, I'm in the... No, don't search bookshelves. There we go. Read Beggar by Revamped. Islip Earl was the last of the litter of 5, born to the queen of the prosperous Nordic kingdom of Erlgard. Man, I hate these names that Skyrim uses. Lapracopa and her husband, the king of Erlgard. Islip, I guess, I don't know. During pregnancy, the queen had been more than twice as wide as she was tall, and the act of delivery took 3 months and 6 days after it had begun. Good grief! I would hate to be in delivery that long. It is perhaps understandable that then Lapracopa elected, upon expelling Islip, to frown, say good riddance, and die. How strange. Like many Nords, Islip did not care very much for his wife and less for his children. His subjects were puzzled, therefore, when he announced that he would follow the ancient tradition of his people of Atmora, of following his beloved spouse to the grave. Why would he do that when it just got through saying that he didn't care very much for his wife? They had not thought they were particularly in love, nor were they aware that such a tradition existed. Still, the simple people were grateful for the little royal drama, alleviated their boredom, which was and is a common problem in the more obscure parts of northern Skyrim, particularly in wintertime. He gathered his household staff and his 5 fat, bawling little heirs in front of him and divided his estate. To his son, Inigo, he gave his title. To his son, Larnu, he gave his land. To his son, Soybud, he gave his fortune. To his daughter, Lasavitra, he gave his army. Islip's advisors had suggested that he keep the inheritance together for the good of the kingdom, but Islip did not particularly care for his advisors, or the kingdom for that matter. Upon making his announcement, he drew his dagger across his throat. One of the nurses, who was rather shy, finally decided to speak as the king's life ebbed away. "Your Highness, you forgot your 5th child, little Islip." good Islip groaned. It is somewhat hard to concentrate with blood gushing from one's throat after all. The king tried in vain to think of something to bequeath, but there was nothing left. Finally, he sputtered irritably. Islip should have taken something then. And then he died. That a babe but a few days old was expected to demand his rightful inheritance was arguably unfair. But so Islip Errol was given his birthright with his father's dying breath. He would have nothing but what he had taken. Since no one else would have him, the shy nurse, whose name was Druzba, took the baby home. It was a decrepit little shack, and over the years that followed, it became more and more decrepit. Unable to find work, Druzba sold all of her furnishings to buy food for little Islip. By the time he was old enough to walk and talk, she had sold the walls and the roof as well, so they had nothing but a floor to call home. Isn't that strange that you could sell the structure of your house piece by piece? That is so weird. And if you've ever been to Skyrim, you can appreciate that that is scarcely sufficient. Just a floor. Cold. Druzba did not tell Islip the story of his birth, or that his brothers and sister were leading quite nice lives with their inheritance, for, as we have said, she was rather shy and found it difficult to broach the subject. She was so painfully shy, in fact, that whenever he asked any questions about where he came from, Druzba would run away. That was more or less her answer to everything, to flee. In order to communicate with her at all, Islip learned how to run almost as soon as he could walk. He couldn't keep up with his adopted mother at first, but in time he learned to go toe-heel if he anticipated a short but fast sprint, and heel-toe if it seemed Druzba was headed for a long-distance marathon flight. He never did get all the answers he needed from her, but Islip did learn how to run. The kingdom of Erelgard had, in the years that Islip was growing, become quite a grim place. King Nop did not have a treasury, for Soybud had been given that. He did not have any property for income, for Larnu had been given that. He did not even have an army to protect the people, for Lasifitra had been given that. Furthermore, as he was but a child, all decisions in the kingdom went through Nop's rather corrupt council. It had become a bureaucratic, exploitative land of high taxes, rampant crime, and regular incursions from neighboring kingdoms. Not a particularly unusual situation for a kingdom of Tamriel, but an unpleasant one nonetheless. The time finally came when the tax collector arrived to Druzba's hovel, such as it was, to collect the only thing he could, the floor. Rather than protest, the poor shy maid ran away, and Islip never saw her again. Without a home or a mother, Islip did not know what to do. He had grown accustomed to the cold open air in Druzba's shack, but he was hungry. "May I have a piece of meat?" he asked the butcher down the street. "I'm very hungry." The man had known the boy for years, often spoke to his wife about how sorry he felt for him, growing up in a home with no ceilings or walls. He smiled at Islip and said, "Go away. or I'll bite you. Now that is totally weird. How could he be sorry for him and so compassionate-like toward him and smile at him and then tell him to go away? He could have given him a piece of meat. I think these people in Tamriel are heartless. Islip hurriedly left the butcher and went to a nearby tavern. The tavern keeper had been a former valet in the king's court, and he knew that the boy was by right a prince. And he didn't tell him? Many times he had seen the poor ragged lad in the streets and sighed at the way fate had treated him. "May I have something to eat?" Islip asked this tavern keeper. "I'm very hungry." "You're lucky I don't cook you up and eat you," replied the tavern keeper. People are weird. Islip hurriedly left the tavern. For the rest of the day, the boy approached the good citizens of Erlgard, begging for food. One person had thrown something at him, but it turned out to be an inedible rock. As night fell, a raggedy man came up to Islip, and without saying a word, handed him a piece of fruit and a piece of dried meat. The lad took it wide-eyed, and as he devoured it, he thanked the man very sweetly. "If I see you begging on the streets tomorrow," the man growled, "I'll kill you myself." How weird! There are only so many beggars we of the guild allow in any one town, and you make it one too many. You're ruining business. It was a good thing Islip Earl knew how to run. He ran all night. Islip Earl's story is continued in the next book, Thief. So he wasn't doing very well as a beggar, was he? The people of Tamriel could be sympathetic and mean at the same time. I don't understand them. So evidently, he's going to turn to be a thief. And we'll read that book in the next episode. So goodbye, grandkids. Granny will see you in the next episode. I may have the camera on then, probably. All right. Goodbye, grandkids.